Unico Education presents
Why do we celebrate Cinco de Mayo in the United States? Starring me, Frida the Pup. Cinco de Mayo is Spanish for the 5th of May. In the United States, the holiday is largely seen as a celebration of Mexican and Mexican-American culture. Many celebrate with parties. Some cities have parades, or even events which showcase Mexican music such as traditional mariachi, traditional Mexican folklorica dances, and art. It is also a delicious celebration, including yummy Mexican food like tacos and guacamole. Did you know that even though Cinco de Mayo is a Mexican holiday, it is celebrated more in the United States than in Mexico? Cinco de Mayo is not Mexican Independence Day, like it is often mistaken. It actually celebrates a battle, La Batalla de Puebla, or the Battle of Puebla in Spanish, in which a small Mexican military force beat a stronger invading French military. So, how did France and Mexico get into a fight? Mexico had gotten into debt with Spain, Britain, and France. Unfortunately, in 1861, Mexican President Benito Juarez declared that Mexico would be unable to pay back the debts they owed to foreign countries. Mexico was eventually able to come to an agreement with England and Spain, but France wanted to conquer Mexico for itself. They thought Mexico would be easy pickings. But even though the Mexican soldiers in the Battle of Puebla were heavily outnumbered, led by General Ignacio Zaragoza, the Mexican army prevailed victoriously. Despite the victory in Puebla, though, France won other battles and even installed their own government, a monarchy in Mexico, in 1863. Nevertheless, the Mexican people held on to the symbol of La Batalla de Puebla. They beat France once, and they felt they could win their independence back. Meanwhile, the United States was fighting a civil war. Although the United States government at the time, represented by the northern states, did not like the French interfering with Mexico, the southern Confederate government asked France for help against the North. It seems the French did not provide any help to the South, and the United States government had their hands full, so they remained neutral. The Monroe Doctrine, established in 1823, was a U.S. policy which declared that the United States would not tolerate European countries interfering with nations in the Western Hemisphere, including those in Latin America. Otherwise, it would be seen as a threat to the U.S. In 1865, after the Northern forces won the United States Civil War and the Monroe Doctrine was brought up again, the United States started putting pressure on France to back off from Mexican territory. Mexican resistance continued to be strong, and the costly war became very unpopular back in France. In 1866, Mexico finally repealed the French out of their country and won their independence once again. Why do we celebrate Cinco de Mayo in the United States? Well, the Battle of Puebla is an inspirational story of a little guy winning over a big guy. Mexico was able to hold on to its independence and eventually fight off the French army. Cinco de Mayo began to be celebrated in the U.S., especially in the states with Mexican-American populations, which had once been a part of Mexico before the Mexican-American War in 1848, such as California, Nevada, New Mexico, and Arizona. Especially people who opposed slavery, since the Confederacy, who had wanted to keep slavery, did not get a chance to be aided by France. Cinco de Mayo became even more popular during the Chicano movement of the 1960s and 70s as a way for young Mexican Americans to take pride in their Mexican roots and identities. By the 1980s, various businesses such as restaurants and beer companies took advantage of the holidays to promote their sales. Today, many people and groups in the United States celebrate Cinco de Mayo and Mexican culture at large without understanding its roots. But now we know a little more about the holiday, and we can enjoy it more by celebrating the underdog, the spirit of liberty and justice of la Batalla de Puebla. Happy Cinco de Mayo, everyone!